You guys over at Mashable have posted the top 100 apps of all time. It's impressive. What was the process in determining these apps?
It was multi. I mean, it took months. I mean, I think we started on it kind of. The idea came up this spring, and we started kind of working on it in earnest in July. And there were kind of spurts and stops, but basically everyone on our tech team worked on it. And what we basically did was we kind of circulated a list around where we nominated apps as the number one, being worthy of being on the iPhone apps of all time list. And then we rated each app on a bunch of different categories. So we rated things based on design, utility, cultural significance, App Store rankings. So we used App Annie data to kind of show how far how high it ranked in the App Store and how long it was there. And we averaged those scores, and then kind of made a longevity was one of the categories too. And we averaged the scores, gave it a final score, and then ranked them. And then there were some cases where there were ties. That actually the top three apps, our number one app was Instagram, our number two app was Google Maps, our number three app was Facebook. They actually all had the same score. But we then kind of got into lots of arguments and debates and kind of all made our case for how we should end up ranking those three apps. And so a lot went into it. There was a certain amount of subjectivity, from the base of the editors, but there was also, we tried to rank, on a 1 to 5 scale in each of those categories and give things a numerical score. So it was a really long process, but I think the final product, which our team, including our deputy managing editor Amanda Wills, who did the whole layout of the thing, I think it really came together really beautifully. And we have tons of videos, and it was a very, very large project.
So all of these apps are not all still available, right? Some of them.
Not all of them are still available. There are a few, for instance, that were like TWiT was one of the apps that's there because it introduced pull to refresh, and it was so good that Twitter ended up acquiring it, making it an official Twitter app. So that's not there anymore. There are certain other apps that disappeared because either time in the App Store came up or things moved on. Like one of the early iPhone games, Tap Tap Revenge, which was a really big hit. It actually originally debuted on jailbroken iPhones and then officially came to the App Store when the App Store launched in July of 2008. That hasn't been in the App Store for a couple of years. So when we looked at this list, we were really trying to go back to, from 2008 forward, what are the most influential and important iPhone apps. And not necessarily always even saying the best, but just in some cases the most important, or the ones that have changed the app ecosystem the most.
So I was surprised to see Netflix on the list.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of Netflix on my phone. Do you watch a lot of Netflix on your phone?
I watch more of it on my tablet, but I do feel like Netflix on the phone was a really big move. I mean, it was kind of one of those moments where I think, especially now that people have bigger phones, the iPhone 6S Plus, and even the iPhone 6, more people watch it. And having that ability to stream and watch almost anything, anywhere, I think was a big moment. HBO Go was on the list for kind of the same reason, although in HBO Go's case, I think it was more, slash HBO now, it was more because HBO was conceded that it's willing to give up its, what at the time especially was not insubstantial home video revenue for keeping customers around longer. But I think Netflix, you make a good point. I think that might be more of an iPad app traditionally, but I do feel like a lot of people, especially in New York, or any places where you commute a lot, if you have access to some sort of internet connection, it's a great way to catch up on your shows or your movies. I've certainly more than once, caught up on an episode of, Jessica Jones in the back of a cab.